Some of us have had extraordinary experiences with wild animals. A few years ago, I had an amazing experience with a dolphin, one that continues today. And I'm going to tell you about it now. The first time I got into the water with Donnie, he made it clear that he wanted to communicate with me. He obviously sensed that I wasn't familiar with the world of vibrations. He wasn't well at the time. His snout was damaged, and our relationship began with the treatment of this problem. I stayed with Donnie for 8 days until he left for the open sea again. The encounter had such an effect on me that I couldn't help but look for him, and I found myself wandering the coast looking for him. So here, this is where those magic moments happened. Extraordinary moments. I came here to Brittany, to this part of Celtic Brittany. The harbor masters knew about him being here. Everyone was here, giving me information about this dolphin, and then finally I found him. That's when the magic began. These meetings happened during the school holidays for 2 years. I made sure I was here, and I can honestly say that 80% of the time, 90%, he was here. You might think it's a fairy tale, but it's very real. Every evening we met. We left together and swam in the sea. It was a call that nothing could resist. Nothing could stand in the way of my meeting this dolphin's call. Like it was really important. An encounter that was going to change my life. And that's what happened. It really changed my life completely. Since I encountered that dolphin, I set up an association, the Dony Institute, which aims to study, observe, and protect these solitary dolphins. This scene here, that's our reunion. It had been 4 or 5 months that we hadn't seen each other. It was a reunion, so it was a celebration. I live by the sea with my 3 children, twins Raphael and Coriolan, and my youngest Adelie. Back then, whenever we had any free time, we all ran down to the Baie de Trépassé to find Donnie. He'd entertain the whole family and the holiday makers. The sea really became a merry meeting place. These meetings bothered the fishermen, until one day Donnie was mistreated by one of them and he disappeared. Eventually, bathing in the area was banned. Human activity forced us to abandon our meetings there. And yet, dolphins are really extraordinary animals that everyone admires. They are one of the oldest species on the planet. Over 60 million years, they have developed an extraordinary intelligence. They live in organized groups, have their own language, and many other skills that scientists are discovering little by little. Every member of the group has a role defined by the community. Sometimes, one will detach itself from the group and seek to build relationships with men. These are what we call ambassador dolphins. There are many interpretations of this type of dolphin, formerly captive dolphins that have been released into the wild, or dolphins that have been rejected by the group because of abnormal behavior. Personally, after the experience I had with Donnie, also known as Randy, I think they come so close to invite us to discover their universe. But they do tend to get a lot of coverage in the media. This article that talks about the time Donnie went through La Rochelle Harbor in September 2004 really reflects the importance of my approach. I simply couldn't go on swimming with this dolphin just for the fun of having an encounter. I felt a very real kind of threat when I saw this dolphin that had been practically rejected. The authorities were trying to guide him out of the port because they were afraid there'd been an accident with bathers. That's understandable. At the time this was mentioned in the article, you've got to remember that Randy was on the Brittany coast and was almost killed by the regional authorities. I really couldn't understand how anyone could imagine killing such a marvelous dolphin, to which everyone warmed. A dolphin that brought so much love to the people it encountered. So I thought, well, maybe we can bring something to the situation. Represent the dolphins, particularly the ambassador dolphins, who at present are not always understood by everyone. Ambassadors have always existed. The Institute was really created to encourage a relationship with an animal that comes to humans, rather than to say that the dolphin is ill, lovesick, or disturbed in some way. I still take my children to our secret garden twice a year to see Donnie, to deepen the experience Donnie brings us, hoping each time he'll honor our wonderful reunions. Well, Donnie isn't anywhere to be seen for the time being, but I sense that he'll come. When I try to get in touch with Donnie, I use a form of telepathy. I mentally visualize his image. I enter into contact with him and I send him messages. And I'll sense if he receives them or not. Wait, maybe if I call him, I'll see if he's here. Don't get yourself wet yet. It's like when you're thinking really hard about someone and at that precise moment the phone rings and it's them. That's happened to everyone. Well, with Donnie, it's the same. Sometimes I sense if he's receiving me, but sometimes he's just not there. I was lucky enough to have twins, identical twins. That means they were created from the same egg. It's really thanks to my twins that even before encountering dolphins, I really learned, as a mother living with my twins for 16 years, I learned all about telepathic communication. They taught me that. They've opened the doors to this form of communication for me. There have been extraordinary phenomena we're still trying to prove. But just because it can't be proved in any rational way, it doesn't mean that it's not real. As time goes on, I find myself removing any notion of will. At one time, in my intuitive communication, there would be a sort of desire and a need for an answer right away, immediately. But now it's more like, listen, if you're there, come. I'd like to see you. But it's just a suggestion. There's nothing more I want from you. In the beginning, it's true that Donnie and I had a real connection. He just came to me and I let him pull me along. I felt his vibrations. He scanned me. They say that a dolphin's sonar is like a photographic camera and that they can see inside your body. Little by little, over the years, I understood that he was telling me, I'll go along with you, but I won't carry you. In France, we have a fear of the natural world. Interacting with it is frowned upon. And yet, some children have this intuitive relationship and they respect it. Animals too, like our friend Moutique. He recognizes that we're both friends. That's what's so great, with Donnie. And then he looks and watches.
They
have a great relationship, the two of them.
Ce petit chien qui doit peser
This little dog that must weigh all of 6 kilos
6 kilos, qui va nager avec
and
un
swims
grand
with a big
dauphin.
dolphin.
C'est
It's
extraordinaire.
extraordinary, the complicity between them. The closeness.
Ils jouent, en
They
fait, bien
play,
sûr,
of
voilà.
course.
De toute façon,
Well,
c'est-
once
une fois
again,
de
we observe
plus,
that playful
le
sense.
sens du jeu,
Learning
apprendre
to
à
play.
jouer. On a tous
We
besoin,
grown-ups,
nous, les grands, les adultes,
we all need to
voilà.
learn how to play again. The game, the dream, is also what the dolphins bring us. Since antiquity, ambassador dolphins, then known as spirits of the sea, would accompany fishermen. Abel often encounters them on his trips out to sea. Abel, I hadn't even noticed that you'd written Dolphin Greeter on your boat. That's sweet.
Elle est gentiment allumée.
She's a little crazy, but her feet are a lot more firmly on the ground than she seems.
Ici, elle est un peu
Some people think she's a little nuts because a dolphin, well, it's an animal like any other. But I'm starting to understand her. And yeah, she's got a quirky side to her, but that doesn't mean she hasn't got her head screwed on.
d'avoir les pieds au sol.
This ambassador dolphin really fascinates me because he is completely free.
Eux sont complètement libres.
They are completely free. There is nothing weighing them down. There's none of that. At the same time, they do have lungs, and they have to come up for air, otherwise they die. This requires them to be awake 24 hours a day. They can doze, but they cannot sleep. They can't do what they like. They have to be awake all the time.
Ils sont obligés d'être tout le temps dans la pleine conscience.
Sometimes I go a long time without seeing Donnie. There was an occasion when this great traveler was spotted in Brest, and then 48 hours later in Biarritz. Sometimes he even went from France to England in a single season. They say that dolphins can cover hundreds of kilometers in one day when they throw themselves into the bow wave and are pulled in the wake alongside freighters. Donnie is apparently from Ireland, where a number of ambassador dolphins can be found. Dutch sculptor Jan Ploeg lives on the west coast. He had an encounter much like mine. The difference in his case was that one day, the dolphin actually cured him.
I won't say that the dolphin healed me. If the dolphin had anything to say there, that he showed me how to heal myself. And it was especially the recognition that a wild creature chooses to spend time with you and that you feel like a whole human being again. Because my fellow humans, they liked me very much when I was manic, but they left me alone when I was depressed. And that was a very lonely feeling. And with the dolphin, it didn't matter how I felt, but I was like always welcome. And that's a very good feeling. If you go into the water and you want to swim with dolphins, you need speed. So that's why I took a monofin, because that's a lot faster. The dolphin evolved to use the whole body in swimming, and I thought that there should be unity in my body as well. So when I make the strokes with the monofin, I have to compensate that in some way with my arms, and the wing is the best way to do that.